Hello. Good morning. How's it going, you guys? What a week. Okay, what do you guys think of this configuration? I moved my camera. Well, I didn't move my camera. I moved my face cam like right above my machine here. What do you guys think? It gives me more room over here, but I also moved the camera up higher, so you're a little further away from the needle. So just let me know what you guys think. I did that because the thing I'm going to sew today after the notions case, the closet organizer, is quite bulky, and I feel like I might whack the camera because it's right here. So I just wanted to kind of minimize that and give you more space over here and raise up the camera. So let me know what you think. And let me see here. Just checking it out. All right. Anybody there? All right. We're gonna get going. Let's see. I'm just making some adjustments. Sorry. You can fast forward through this, you guys, if you are new here. I feel like something is up though. Let's see. Just checking things out. Can tell something's wrong on YouTube, so I'm just making sure that I am all I'm all set up here. Let's see. Sorry guys. Here, let me look on my phone. Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay. So we are. I'm all set up. All right, I'm just making sure. I am, for some reason, logged out of my video page, so I want to be able to see your comments, and I can't right now. So, just a second. How have you guys been, by the way? All right, just a second. I need to go and log in. That's what's going on here. I think I know why. Oh wait, maybe I got it. Sorry guys. My life's been a little bit different lately, you know? So just because of things going on locally. And so it just means that certain things are a little higgledy-piggledy. Oh, hello. Hi, I can see you guys now. Hi, Christina. Hi, Kelly. Okay, I'm really sorry about that. I couldn't even tell if the video was live until I went on my phone. And what had happened was, it's probably because I've been using the computer at home. And so the computer, probably for security reasons, and because it, of course, had to update twice in the last couple of days, it logged me out of this. But it didn't log me out this morning when I first turned it on, so I don't know why I decided to right then, right when I go live. So anyway, sorry for that. I know this video will be uploaded and people are like, what the heck is going on with this gal? You know, I'm a sewer. So anyway, welcome. I'm really glad to see you guys, and let's just get sewing because it sounds really good to me to sew a little bit. And at least the notions case, I know how to do that backwards and forwards. The closet organizer, you know, I'm only on my like third or fourth one, and I'm writing that pattern, and it's all done. I'm just trying to do all the graphic stuff and the computer stuff, which is definitely not the most fun part or my expertise. So I'm just trying to put something together that looks really good, at least for, you know, everybody to be able to use it and make sense and is as easy to understand as possible. So, all right. So anyway, this is the notions case. If you've signed up on the newsletter, you've gotten this free pattern. So now we're just going to sew a few, so that way you can refer to this as a way to have a tutorial anytime you want. I sewed a few on the part 1 stream, and we also sewed the first half of a closet organizer here. So here's my hanger pocket right here. and then the flat pocket that has 2 sections, and then these 2 long pockets. And so I kind of designed this originally for wrapping paper. And then we have the finished one here. So here's the side that we did. I'm trying to figure out where the camera is. And then the other side is what we're going to do today. So I made mine 2-sided. So one's kind of Christmassy and one's kind of not Christmassy. It has 2 of the exact same size pockets. Camera goes this way. And then these little pockets as well. So I kind of thought of these as like gift bag pockets and then tissue paper pockets. So, but I'm realizing, like, my friends are like, oh, I could organize all kinds of things with that. So, all right, so I have 5 Notions cases cut out here. You guys are welcome to tell me which fabrics you want. I think I have like 6 cut out here. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 2 of these right here. And then some bindings. I think I definitely want to do this cat game one because, or not cat game, but the, what was this fabric called? Catnap? Totally blanking on it. And then I have these cute rakes, very fall oriented. And then I just collect little fabrics here and there. I'm sure we all do that, right? And so sometimes I don't use them for chicken boots. But these are kind of the ones I want to do today. So what do you guys think of this, the camera being above me? Okay, so the sign up on the newsletter, if you're on Instagram, I'm pretty sure the link in my profile goes straight to the sign up form. And then you can also go to my regular day job is chicken boots. And I have a website, chickenbootsusa.com. And there is a live sewing stream tab on there that's kind of explaining. It's a little bit wordy. And then you can just scroll down, Kelly, and it'll show you, like, it's kind of like 2/3 of the way down. But if you have Instagram, So Live on Instagram, just go to the link in the profile. It'll take you straight there. If you found me through the Love to Sew podcast, which is awesome, there's a link there as well. And I think it's under the banner, right? I think it's under the banner. So you can do that. Yeah, you're welcome. I try to make it as easy as possible. I think also in the About Me on this YouTube channel, it's there as well. So anyway. We are going to make 3 of these little guys. These are great for gifts. People can use them for all kinds of things. I hear about people using littler ones for credit cards, like if they just want a couple tiny things to carry with them, you know, like a little spot, like a tiny little wallet, you know, or something like that. Little kids love them too. So first I haven't used this binding in so long. It's my last bit of it. I really loved it. So I saved it. Let's see, we've got my stiffener here. Got a piece of vinyl. And then I'm trying to decide, do I want to do cream zipper? I think I might do cream zipper. Oh, thanks, Stephanie. Yeah, like, do you like that extra space there? Oh, you found me on the knitting broomstick from Jill. That's awesome. She's so awesome. I really appreciate that. I'm so terrible at watching others' vlogs, listening to podcasts, doing videos. I'm just so busy all the time, and I can get distracted. I listen to a lot of books instead. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I found her because one year, all of a sudden people were buying this one product that we sell, you know, regularly, but it's kind of pretty unique. It's the pocket bucket. And I could see who was coming to my website from where they were coming. And so I saw it was from hers. And so I checked it out and I watched it. I was like, dang, that's like way better review than I would have ever done on this thing. So that's how I found her, which is pretty awesome. And she's also a big Harry Potter fan, so I see a lot of her folks come by. Okay, so if you ended up buying this kit off the Chicken Boots site, you will have gotten 2 of these. And then it comes with enough vinyl and stiffener to make 2 Notions cases and 2 zippers. But I'm only telling you about this because this pattern was designed for this width of a zipper. But if you are using the free downloadable pattern, you're probably going to go buy your materials, and your zipper might be about 1/4 of an inch narrower. And that is no problem at all. I'm going to show you how to deal with that. So just so you know. we know that it doesn't line up if you use that zipper. All right, so first off, I bind my vinyl, and I start from the back. I can tell this is the back of the vinyl because mine has a slight texture to it, the vinyl we're currently buying. There's no need to back tack, and I kind of gently tug the binding as I'm putting it on. And it's kind of what makes the next step so easy. You see how it's kind of lifting up there? I won't go into great detail since we did so many of these the other day, and I know some folks, you know, might not want to see these again. All right, and then I turn it under. I make sure that fold goes just past my stitch line there, just like that. And then I know I'll cover it up. I know I'll land on the binding on the other side as well. But this is such a great practice spot to do binding because nobody's going to see the back of this inside your notions case. So it's a really great place. Let's see. Yeah, see, so I really exaggerated that fold. See, it's much lower. I still landed on the binding, but it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to see this. It's going to be on the inside of the case. And so the other thing about these zippers we use, they're by the yard, so I have to secure the ends. Well, I don't usually here, but I recommend it if you're using anything like that because it is really easy to pull the slider right off the end, and then you have to try and get that slider back on. And it's not the easiest thing when you're not used to doing it. Okay, so I line up the zipper tape with the bottom edge that I folded under, just so it doesn't show in the window, right? So I'm just kind of lining it up pretty close. My zipper foot is running alongside the teeth, but your zipper foot, or I should say my presser foot, I'm not using a zipper foot. If you are using a zipper foot, you may have to make sure that you don't run it along the teeth or get too close to the teeth because you don't really want the slider to get hung up on the binding there. So you do want some space for your slider to pass between the binding and the zipper. I have to move my zipper. I don't need a zipper foot for any of this. My zipper foot doesn't look like the one on a home machine. So it wouldn't actually be very useful to me here. All right, so this is one of my pet peeves is when there's little threads on stiffener and they get trapped between the fabric and the stiffener. So just watch that. It sometimes might be on the back of your fabric too. You will feel it, you will see it, trust me. So let's see, do you think I should do cat on the front? I know, it's like, putting it on the front seems like the most obvious thing, but all of my stuff is going to go inside there. So do I want it to look like this? Or do I want it to look like this? Look at that little guy poking through the window. I kind of like that. What do you guys think? I'm not too keen on this binding with this, but once it's all sewn, it's going to look like it was supposed to go together. It's just kind of the magic of binding sometimes. All right, and I don't know what I'll be doing with this, so I'll still put a label on here. I'm kind of trained to do that. And I'm only going to tack the ends here. Okay, so here's a good point I want to show you. If you are using a store-bought zipper, it's going to be narrower. Most likely, it's going to be narrower. There are some that are the same width as the one we use here. So if this zipper were on here, it would be about right there. You're going to line up the vinyl to the bottom of the case and then trim off this excess here across the top. You can line it up with the top of the case, but then you'd have to trim this on a curve. It's not that hard, I know, but it's just one of those things we've learned, like, oh, that nice straight edge is a little more appealing, you know, to cut. So that's my tip with that. So our cases were designed for our zipper here that we use by the yard, and it's a 4.5 coil zipper. And the one you get in the store is usually like a 2.5. And then there's also the chunkier plastic zippers as well. So maybe you'll get a tape that's wider. I don't think there's wider tape. So I'm just going to tack through all layers like that. My other tip is to pull the back fabric a little bit taut. because for some reason, this is my little sewing thing that I get when I make these, is that I get a little like tuck. Hi, Olivia. Oh, good. Thanks. I'm glad. All right. And the other thing I will say, I actually don't like how much that's rippling there, so I'm going to fix that, is you won't have any trouble sewing with vinyl as long as your machine doesn't come in contact with the vinyl. And that's how we get away with this. Like my machine's not coming in contact with the vinyl here. Okay, I'm gonna pull this taut again. My slider's on a little bit wonky, and that's why it's doing this right now. I know exactly why it's doing that. All right, there we go. Okay, let's move these. I have here's my little tools. I picked out a different pair of scissors since the tips on mine are getting kind of dull, but these aren't that great, I have to say. I really need to just get my scissors sharpened. So I start the binding on the back side, and then I use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. That's, you know, like a fat 1/4 of an inch roughly there, because that's the width my binding's gonna finish about. It's gonna finish about 1/4 to 3/8. I'm gonna go around the corner. I'm gently tugging the binding. And as I go around, just kind of ooch it around. Yeah, I know my binding's folding up a little bit, but it's not going to be a problem. This binding is it's a little tired on the edges. It's been kicking around the shop here for a few years. It went with this really great plaid group. I love plaid. So I'm getting, see this little ripple I'm getting? I don't know why, but watch. When I put this binding on there and sew it, it's probably gonna fix itself. Let's see. Yeah, no tuck. All right, so I'm gonna trim my edge around here, just up to the binding or the seam allowance, or if you're not doing any of those the same, you want it to trim it the width of the binding. That's how it's gonna finish. You need this to be the finished width, not narrower, not bigger. So I know that my binding, I've sewn a lot of binding, so I know that my binding's gonna finish about that. And you especially wanna pay attention to near the zipper teeth. If your zipper teeth go through to the edge of the case, make sure you definitely trim that. Don't let it poke out, because it will push on the binding. And you also don't want it to scratch the binding. It can make a hole over time. All right, so now I pull it to the front. Remember, I pulled it a little gently as I attached it, and see now it already wants to lay flat and turn under, because I told it what I wanted it to do earlier. I feel like this can be a little bit narrower right there. I can just kind of tell what might give me problems. That's a little wide right there, but since it's a nice straight edge, I'll be able to do it, because binding is nice and stretchy. All right, so I'm going to fold this. And remember, we got to practice our binding on the first pass, so now we kind of know what we're trying to do. We're kind of trying to make this fold just past the original stitch line. So just past it. And then when you stitch it down, as long as this fold is past the original stitch line and your needle is to the right of where you originally stitched, you're going to land on the binding on the other side. Because I think that's where we all get nervous when we're sewing binding, is what's it going to look like on the other side, you know? Like, we're totally worried about how the other side's going to look. So my awl I use as a pointy finger, and see, like, this is as far as it wants to go, but I'm going to pull it because it's stretchy. And that is kind of why I like using an awl. I can get very precise, and it's like having a finger that doesn't get anywhere near the needle, because we all know what that can lead to. Okay. Yeah, just gently tugging that binding on that very first pass really does most of the work on this one. It makes me look like I know what I'm doing, you know? And yeah, I know I've sewn hundreds of these, but I really have like learned that tip. So there you go. Not bad. Looks better than the one I sewed the other day. So I have a little funny there. Yeah, because you know what? I didn't pull my binding to the other side very tight enough right there. That's what that is. But, I mean, does that really bug me? Not really. It's handmade, you know? As someone once told me when I was first starting out, she said, you know, your stuff's not going to sell well because it looks too polished. And I was like, wait, what? And she says people want to see that it's handmade and that there's little flaws in it. And I was like, well, yeah, that's just not my deal. I'm not going to do that. But I do know kind of what she means, you know. Okay, so our last stitch, right? It's our last step, actually. Going to line up that binding along the top. You're going to go just past the end and fold it around. And you can pull this kind of tight, because it's going to want to slip as you put it under the needle. Now we're going to back tack because these are our last seams. Thanks, Stephanie. Yeah, I have done this a lot, but I did not come from a quilting background or binding or anything. I just like did this trial and error. So I just slid my slider past where my needle is. I'm still gently pulling this. Now I'm going to cut my binding about, you know, an inch or so past the end. And then I'm going to do it a little tiny bit less because I got a little close with my needle right now. And I need enough space to kind of wrap it. So you could have stopped a little further away. This is another, like, use for my awl. I can kind of reach under and grab that binding and push it away from me. There we go. Oh, so now we're going to, I can keep seeing this thread or this fluff. There's a lot of lint in my office, and right now there's a little bit of ash too. So you pull it straight up, and see now it's already wanting to curl, right? And now we're going to do this little envelope folding technique to kind of clean it up. So you fold it down by the corner, and now you just treat it like you're doing a rolled hem, right? Fold down and under just like that. And if this little bit bugs you, this is another thing we do sometimes. We just kind of get rid of a little bit of it right there, just to get rid of the bulk. Don't go crazy on that little nip though. You can get you into trouble. I used to do one, gosh, I always did it wrong. So there you go. I'll show you one more time. Just pull it straight up, fold the corner down. The fold lines up with the top of the case right there. And now you just fold it twice down. Just like that. Definitely back stitch. And I really like to make sure that this little spot where I originally folded it on the very first pass isn't poking out. Can you see that? Like right there. Oh, you finished it by hand? Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. Like you guys know, I know it's becoming kind of comical how little I like hand sewing, but I just don't. Okay, so same thing down here. I fold it up with the, line up the fold with the top of the case. And now I fold it twice down like a rolled hem. And I make sure I cover that first spot. I know exactly where my machine likes to leave thread tails, so I'm going to go back and get rid of those. And there we go. I love this fabric. Okay, I'll do one more and I'll do it a little quicker. I'm going to do a holiday one. I never make holiday things, but I really love the colors of this fabric. Get rid of my binding here. I use 1 3/8 inch wide binding. You can use whatever you want. You just need to allow for the seam allowance and the finished width that you need. There we go. So let's see, I have the tag print and I have the tree print. Which one? I'm just going to make one of these. What do you think? Should we do trees on the front? So trees on the front. Okay, so this is a good opportunity. Hi, Brooke. It's nice to see you. It's really nice to see all of you. It's really nice to see friendly faces, you guys. The tree print was cut on, or not cut, but it's printed both directions, so it kind of made it a little easier, like to use the fabric on the bolt. But I will say it's a good opportunity to mention that if you have a cute motif, you want to make sure it's going to fit in this lower portion. So I use this when I'm cutting out fabric and I have a motif like a cat face or whatever. You want it to fit under here because the zipper is going to cover up this top part, right? And it's really easy to accidentally have this really big motif right here and maybe the eyeballs are right there and you just covered it up with the zipper tape. So it's kind of nice to use this as kind of your window to look and see how much needs to be under there. And I kind of try and keep it like right here, somewhere like that. So I think I'm going to use, let's see. I think I'm going to use this one with this one. Yeah, okay. I'm thinking way too much about it. Thanks, Brooke. Yeah, nothing, yeah. We're fine. You know. Just for those of you who don't know, I am near the campfire. Totally safe. My family got out safely. They're with me, which is awesome. I really love having them there. Wish it wasn't under these circumstances, but you know. That's why I missed you guys on Saturday. I'm really sorry about that. I saw someone comment like, wait, I thought you were live on Saturdays. I'm new here. And I really wish there was like a way on YouTube to post a little like a little update, you know, like people do on Facebook, right? Just like a little blurb that says, hey, I'll be live today, or hey, I had technical difficulties, so if you're looking for me, that's why I'm not here. Something like that, you know, that would be kind of nice, because not everybody has Instagram, and I'm not on Facebook with this business, so, because I'm just kind of doing this simply right now. All right, I'm going to use a black zipper. I feel like it accentuates the black of this kind of nicely. And I love this fabric print. I know it doesn't quite go with it, you guys, but I just love it so much. I just, like, it reminds me of licorice all sorts. You know what I mean? I love black licorice too, so the little pieces of black licorice in there make me happy. All right, that's right. I'm using these zippers. I'm trying to get rid of these zippers. They're in the bin. They barely fit, so I know I have to line this up kind of perfectly with the edge of my vinyl, which you might have trouble seeing. Brooke, what do you think about the camera being where it's at? Do you like the bigger surface area? I had to raise up the camera really high because the closet organizer is quite bulky. So I just want to make sure I don't whack the camera too many times, you know, because I might. I think I'm going to put the trees in the front because they're a little bit lighter. Get rid of. Yeah, and this binding works a little better with the pink tree, I think. It kind of works. Let's see. I need a label. So my zipper is a little short right there. So I'm actually going to line my label up with this because I can't go any further past that, right? It's a good thing to remember when you, like, I have a saying that if you've been with me, around me long enough, you'll understand it because it kind of is kind of a vague saying, but just because you want it to be recyclable doesn't make it recyclable, right? Like, it may have that symbol on it, but you can't just throw it in the bin because your company may not take it, right? And it's the same with lots of things in life. Just because you want that to be the end of the case, don't start lining everything up with this. This now is like, it's dead to us, right? You got to look at it that way. This is our new edge that we have to consider. Because if I started using this over here, say my logo was higher up and I lined up the edge of my, you know, tag there, then I'd start, you know, covering up the part of my logo and stuff like that. Oh, okay. So when I do this, right? Okay, yeah. Remind me of that. I need to, like, get better at that. Sorry, guys. I'm still, you know, not a videographer, so just let me know. Like, wait, show us again. Okay, so this is now my new line right here. And I'm just going to get rid of this right now because I'm going to go to the back of the case and I'll forget, right? Because if I started this over here, it's not going to work out. So I'm going to trim this. I'm just going to get rid of it right now. Just like that. I did a pretty bad job of trimming it. Okay, so line up all this stuff here. We don't even have to come in contact with the vinyl. I'll mention my tip on sewing vinyl though, just in a second. Yeah, I got that. Okay, so if you are more comfortable with sewing, like tacking around this whole perimeter edge, makes you feel more comfortable to be able to set yourself up for success that way. I totally understand that. If you don't have a Teflon foot, you're going to most likely get hung up on your vinyl a little bit. Like I can show you, let's see if mine will do it. This actually, you can see it's like pushing my vinyl. That's not what I'm talking about. Sometimes it just won't go, but I don't like that it does that right there either. So like at the most you could do this too, just tack the corners like that. You're not going to get too hung up doing that. But some machines will get more hung up than others. It just depends on the presser foot. And my tip is to either put some just like regular old Scotch tape you wrap a present with on the underside of your presser foot. And then I take like a little nail file and I use the fine side and I just rub off the edges of the tape on the edge, like get rid of the pieces that are hanging off. So that's not like grabbing everything, you know, threads and fuzz and stuff like that. And then another thing you can do is just put a piece of tissue paper between your machine and the vinyl and then just rip it all off and get rid of all the little pieces. And you can also get a Teflon, I don't think there really are Teflon brand, but that's what everyone calls them. You can see what mine looks like. This is mine. See? So it's much thicker. And it's really smooth. So I'm not a fan with sewing with this on my other things, and I don't like switching back and forth, so I just engineer it so that I just rarely have to come in contact with the vinyl. There's a couple products that there's no getting around it, and then I'll just switch my machine over to this guy and then just do all that at once and then take it off. The reason I don't just like Rayanne, she would sew on this with using this full time because she did so much vinyl. But the problem with it is I'm doing heavier duty stuff than her and I lose traction. And so if I go to like hoik on something that's really heavy duty and I'm binding and there's like 4 layers of stiffener, 2 layers of vinyl, and 6 layers of fabric, because that's kind of typical in the corners of like a project bag or a pocket bucket, when I go to pull, it'll just pull it right out from under my machine, which is really dangerous because that foot is meant to do that. So that's what you got to think about. So I don't really need it too often. And they do break down over time, so you need to make sure you watch that. They'll get grooves in it underneath from your feed dogs and stuff like that. Just wear and tear. It's a soft plastic. All right, so I start on the back. I gently tug. Remember, that's our key. That's the secret sauce, right? We're going to gently tug. Kind of ooch around the corner. You got to make sure you have bobbin thread. I'm going to start my other bobbin getting wound. Because, you know, it'd be really easy to just be like, I'm just going to take this bobbin and keep going. But I like to always have one full. I always blow out my bobbin case. And I always blow out my under thing. If I took this off, you'd be shocked at what's under there. Even though I do that almost every time or every other time. This new bobbin case, it's this little slit is really hard for me to grab with the thread. I've noticed that. All right, so I like to sew a tiny bit before I start sewing. Here, I'll just do it right here. And that's because my bobbin is pretty messy when I start a new one. I don't know about you guys, but mine is. So I just like to get rid of that. My slider's already getting hung up on my throat plate on this little hole right here. All right, so, okay, so because my bobbin wasn't there and I still sewed a little bit, I have all these holes on this side. See it? There's no repairing that, so you have to take that into account. If you sew your vinyl, it's one and done. Like, you need to commit to those holes. It's kind of like sewing anything waterproof. Once you put a hole in it, that's it. No pressure though. We do this for fun, right? Vinyl is very, very affordable. I would always get the nicest vinyl you can afford. Why not? Okay, my label is flipping to the other side. All right. I'm going to trim my seam allowance. I'm kind of making sure right here where the zipper teeth are, get a nice trim. Those teeth can be really sharp. If you're using a store-bought zipper, especially if it's a fixed length, like you bought it for this length, then you don't really have to worry about it. Your teeth won't poke all the way to the edge. You can also take little pliers and remove the coils. Just make sure that your slider is secure and you've stitched across it so it can't fly off. Because getting the sliders on is a bit tricky if you bought the zipper from us. All right, so now we're going to flip this to the right side. It's looking a little messy, but we're going to cover all that up and nobody's going to know. And they don't care. They love that you made them something, so it doesn't matter. Oh, that's looking cute. It's really pulling out the pink tree, isn't it? Binding just makes a big difference. All right, let's see here. The fold needs to go just past the seam right there. Because I have this back tack, or it's not really a back tack, but it's where I started, where my bobbin ran out. Isn't that where my bobbin? Oh no, that's on the other side. That's where when I flipped my the tag, I got to make sure I cover all that thread ick in there. So I'm going to pull the fold just past it. I'm going to stitch right on that seam there. That way I know that you can't lift up the edge of the binding and kind of see under there. This case isn't going together as smooth as the other one, is it? But we have our strategies. And when things start going badly, like this isn't going badly, it's just not going together smoothly, I just take it one step at a time then and start with what I know and maybe take more steps to get to the end. That way you have more room to fix whatever's happening, or less sewn so you can fix that little bit you just did. You know what I mean? So when things start going bad or you're having a little trouble, make one step be two steps. You know, take a little extra time to get there. That way there's less to take out if you make a mistake. Okay, I'm just worried about my holes on my vinyl. I thought I saw one right there, and so I got it. Okay, there we go. I don't know what I'll do with this case. Got a little bit of a tuck there. Might be able to iron that out, but it's kind of a big tuck. Should we fix that? I'll just fix it for you guys so you don't think I ignore every little mistake I make. I always go a little bit past where I always hold my seam ripper like this. I have more control over it. I always pull out my threads and then get rid of them so they're out of the way. And what this is on the first stitch, this first step. So I'm going to go a little bit further. That way I know I have more room to fix it. Just like this. So is anyone sewing anything? Are you guys like doing any gift sewing for like holidays, if anybody celebrates any of the holidays? I haven't really thought about that. Like I have a couple things I'm gonna make, but they're sewn. I'm not gonna knit any gifts, I don't think. You know what's really cute is my daughter, she's gonna be 16 on Sunday. She wears a hat I knit for her in preschool. It has kitty cat ears on it, you know. It's pretty cute. All right, let's look at my tuck. There it is. It's kind of a big tuck. So I'm gonna take out the stitches around that tuck, and I'm gonna try and smooth them. And it may look a little bit ruffled right there, but we're gonna try and smooth it out as much as we can and then hope for the best. I could probably iron it, but the thing is, ironing anything with the vinyl is dicey. You really don't want heat to get on the vinyl. I don't like these scissors. Okay, let's see. It's kind of a bit to ease in there. Let's see if I can do a better job this time. It wants to do it again, see that? I feel like it's because I tacked my corner here. Oh yeah, I remember this is the corner that had the vinyl pushing. There we go. So maybe not tacking it is a good lesson, at least for me. I'm not used to doing that. Oh, knit denim. Oh, like you're knitting. Oh yeah. Oh, nice, Stephanie. A pony tank dress. Okay, wait. Pony tank. I want to know, is that a tank with a pony on it? Or is this a thing I don't know about, a pony tank dress? Is that the name of a pattern? You're making an apron. That's nice. Okay, what's a bowl cozy? Like something that keeps your bowl cozy? What bowl? Teach me, you guys. I don't know anything about what's going on in the world. All right, let's get my tuck. So see, there's my tuck right there. It really wants to be a tuck now that I've ironed it, or like I've sewn it into a tuck position. Okay, I got rid of it. I pulled on it as I sewed. I let it know who's boss. That's me, right? Okay. Looks good. Some mistakes we let go and we just forget about them. Others we go back and fix if we can. That one we could. That one might have bugged me, so I wanted to fix it. It's the name of a pattern. Oh, okay, I'm gonna check that out. Oh, Kelly, I understand what you mean. Oh, yeah. Oh, it handles like jersey, Stephanie? Oh my gosh, wow. I know that there's a couple people really passionate about knit denim. I am a knitter. I haven't been knitting lately. Not too bad. Can you guys see that? It's a little bit ruffly there. You wouldn't care, right, if I gave this to you? You might. I know, you might. All right. But you really could kind of let that go there. And I'm going to. All right, so we line up our binding at the top there. See how my zipper's pulling up above there? It's because it's open. Get that 1 inch hanging off the end. Wrap it around to the front. And do you know why we start always on the back? You don't have to. I do because it is the least viewed area. I want it to look the best on the front. I want it to look great on both sides when it's an object you're going to see both sides of. But on this one, we still pick the front as the one that we're going to favor. But we're very strategic here on what we consider, you know, the finished side. I'm just going to get rid of some of that bulk like I showed you earlier. Like that. This binding is actually nice and lightweight. I don't really have too much trouble with it. I get torquing more with it than anything else. Yeah, the chalk and notch patterns are cute. Hi, Cheyenne. Oh, you're from the Netherlands. Someone else comes in from the Netherlands, too. so far away. Thanks for coming. All right, we're almost done with our second Notions case, and then we're gonna move on to our closet organizer. I feel like I spent a long time on these, and we have, I've sewn more of these on the part 1 video of the closet organizer at the beginning and on the end of that video. And so maybe we can sew a couple of these at the end. This is pretty cute. Like I say, I'm not into Christmas fabrics, but I think that's pretty cute. And so here, where's our other one that we just did? Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. Okay, so we've got our closet organizer. I noticed when I was finalizing the pattern details that one of the patterns was a little bit small. One of the pattern pieces, this one right here, the little tiny pockets. So I recut those out, fixed the pattern, and I decided at the last second today that I'm going to make one of them vinyl. So if you want to do that, because vinyl is really affordable, and it is pretty easy to work with. It's obviously not going to shrink or anything like that. And you can do this with very minimal contact with your machine. So if you want to try it out, I'm going to do one pocket like that, so you can kind of follow along with that. The first thing, the only modification pattern-wise I did was I cut off the hem at the top. You don't have to do that, but I did that so that you could see that it lines up with the other one. All right, so here's my binding choices. I'm going to bind the top of the vinyl pocket. All the other pockets, let's see, this is the back of the closet organizer. This is the hanger pocket that I have left to attach to that. My pockets are sewn, right? We did our little box stitching around it. We just need to assemble this side and then assemble it to the front and the back together and bind around the perimeter. That last step, that's the tricky one. And positioning the pockets on this side, but I'm gonna get you through this, no problem. So here's my little pockets that I still need to sew. And let's see, I used the plus sign binding on that one over there, but I feel like this one could be cuter on this side. So we're gonna use this one. I do have a binding machine behind me. Oh, thanks, Kelly. Yeah, they turned out really cute. I mean, I feel like you could use any fabric for them. It's really fun. And you could really have fun on Spoonflower, you guys, if you want to design custom Notions cases for, you know, people in your family. You could put their picture on it. You could put any picture, the picture of your dog, you know, or your cat. And, you know, you could print just a fat quarter is going to get you, you know, probably, definitely 1, maybe 2 Notions cases, depending on which fabric you get, because some of them are whiter than others. And, you know, as long as you're okay with it being the same fabric front and back, or you can design, you know, the fabric for one side to be one way and one half to be the other way. You don't have to make it public for sale. Okay, so I've bound the top here. This vinyl was in the scrap heap. That's why there's a little bit of a wrinkle in it. I thought of this like 5 minutes before I went live. So I was like, oh gosh, I got to use a scrap piece. I can't pull this off the roll. So here's the corner. So my machine is going to come in contact with the vinyl. Oh, see, there's a good example. See, it pushed the top layer away. So I will admit, I have barely sewn any vinyl with this machine since I've gotten it. My old machine I just knew what it was going to do. So it's not that it was better or worse. It's just I knew how it reacted. I don't know really how this one's going to react. So I'm actually going to start from the fold edge there. That way any inaccuracies that it pushes go towards the end. I've got to be careful though. You can't keep sewing vinyl in the same spot. You're perforating this fabric. It's very strong on one hand and can be weak on the other. So you've got to be careful with it. Okay. I am going to backstitch because when we get to one step, we do pull on this seam right here a little bit, and so you don't want it to pull apart. So I'm gonna skip the box stitching that gives it the shape, and I'm just gonna skip it on the vinyl because the vinyl is pretty stiff. It is going to kind of do this when it's sitting there on the organizer, right? It's gonna stick out, it's not gonna flop, so we don't really need to worry about it. So this is the hem right here that I trimmed off of the other one. It's about 3/4 of an inch. No need to backtack. This is my other little pocket, and I recut this and resewed it. I'm resewing it because I've found a flaw in the pattern. Like, it needed to be wider this way. You can see this edge is serged. You could just fold this down and top stitch it. I did not serge this. This is cut from a curtain, I should mention that. So that's why, that's not my serger. So I just didn't even think of it, the fact that it was serged. I forgot that I lined it up with the edge. So when you cut this little corner out of your pattern pieces, because what I'm going to do in the pattern is I'm going to give you a schematic that is like, you're going to cut 2 of these that are 8 by 10 inches, and then you're going to cut out a 1 1/4 inch square out of the bottom corners, which is how I get that little notch there. And I provide the little thing you can just trace right there, trace the 1 1/4 inch and cut around it. But when you're lining this up, like say, you know, when you're cutting, I'm going to take this apart so I can show you. When you're cutting out your pieces, and if you use a rotary knife, like I do, I use a rotary knife, a lot of people do. You don't need one, not at all. It's just a matter of preference, and my tables are covered with rotary cutting mat, so it's really easy for me. When you're cutting an inverted corner like this, right? Like going around this corner, easy, right? But when you're going on an inverted corner where the corner's on the interior of the pattern piece, it's really tricky with a rotary knife because it's got a curved blade, right? So the curve is going to come as close to that corner as possible. And it is really typical to cut into it, you know, with your knife, right? To cut into it and feel like, see, because this edge of the blade is lined up with this, but the blade is only touching back here. So you want to go a little past. Now, if you do get a little bit of a nip there, we'll pretend like I rotary knifed too far past. And that's what you end up with when you come to the sewing machine. Don't despair, it's fine. See, it's inside of my seam allowance right there. We're gonna cover that up. So, just wanted to mention that because I feel like that's such a pain sewing or cutting those inverted corners out on anything. With a rotary knife. With scissors, you don't have this issue, right? All the scissor people are like, yeah, that's why I don't use a rotary knife. All right, so now I'm going to do my box pleat. Not a box pleat, box stitch. I'm not sure what you call this. I'm just going to give the pocket some shape by edge stitching around it like this. You don't have to if you don't want. It's fine if you don't want to. It's a nice touch. It's really easy to do. Why not? You know, it really makes it look polished and finished on the organizer. I did sew one without that, and then I added it afterward, and it wasn't easy to do afterward, so make sure you make this choice before you put it together. So the way I make sure I get it perfectly parallel is I just use this little corner as a guide, and then I fold this back right where that was. And actually start from the side. I'm sorry. So start, when you have this face up, wrong side face up, start on this side. I'll show you why. Pretty sure this is the right side. Let me see. Sorry, everything's flown out of my head since we sewn this last week, and a lot's happened. All right, so then I can actually see my little spot that I'm creating the, you know, the frame with here. Now I'm going to just rotate it. I'm going to line up this seam with that right there, just as a guide. And I'm going to go corner to corner. It's not a very functional thing. You don't have to worry about seam allowance or anything like that. And I just want to make sure that this is the same width from here to here, and you can just check it by going like that, right? The 1 1/4 inch one's pretty easy. The other one's 3.5 inches. It's a little bigger. It's a little easier to maybe get it a little off. It's not the end of the world, you guys. Like this amount here going across and here, it doesn't change it. Like sewing this does not change that. It doesn't affect the dimensions. If you get it, you can sew it way in here and it'll be weird if you do that, but you're not going to change how it sews together. This is the edge you're concerned about. This is where the seam line is. So, okay, so now we have a big pocket and a little pocket for each row, and I'm going to sew these together. I'm going to start at the corner at the bottom. I'm hoping I remember how to do this because I know how to do this, but doing the next step, because I kind of figured out a little way to remember it, and then I haven't sewn one for a while. All right, so you just want to back stitch there. I'm starting at the seam of the corner, and I'm only sewing on the vertical side that I'm attaching these two pockets together with, not the bottom of the pocket. Just leave that alone. That's going to go in the onto the organizer itself. So I'm just going to sew this 1/4 inch seams, back tack right there, and I'm going to kind of finger press this edge right here, the rest of this 1/4 inch seam like this. Get rid of my little messy thread tails, just like that. So see, now I have this pocket. Side by side. Now I just have this to attach to the organizer as one big thing, as one big unit, and then we'll also top stitch down the middle to create the distinction between the two pockets. So now we'll do the other one. You can put these, you know, one on that side and then one that way if you want. I'm just going to do it the way the picture is so that it looks like that and it's not confusing. So here we go again. I'm going to line up those seams right there. See that? Right there. I'm going to push the seam allowance to the bottom because that gives me more options because I'm not quite remembering if I want them to go up. I don't think it matters, so I'm just going to leave them pushed out of the way. And I'm going to sew just on this side of that seam right there. And I'm going to back tack for sure. 1/4 inch seam. So you're just really joining these two pockets together. That's all. You don't have to do it this way. I just find this to be, mentally, it makes more sense when you see that this is how it's going together. And then I'm just going to finger press this little edge right here. You can iron it too. Now I'm ready. And so down here, I'm going to clip up. I'm just going to go on this side of the seam. Go up to that seam right there. And then right here too. This fabric's really thick. So I went a little bit past, just like that. Because I need it to release. I need this spot to release. I know that looks a little messy there. I could have done a really sophisticated pattern thing to make that not like that, but I just find that this is going to be easier to explain and demonstrate. And it's not going to matter because it's all going to get sewn. So I'm just trimming, I'm just clipping that little spot right up to where we sewed the seam. Just a 1/4 inch in, that's all. We're just going to release the tension from when we turn it under to sew it to the organizer. Okay, now I'm going to attach my hanger pocket to the top. We already sewed this in last week's stream. And we cut these angles. So all I need to do is line it up, line these raw edges up with this corner here. And then line up this edge to there. I'm going to flip it since it's pressed a little better for this side. It doesn't matter actually. Could be pressed better. There we go. Just going to secure these two ends, and then I'm going to sew that because this is on the bias now. I really want to make sure I set this up so I'm not like stretching it out. Just tacking it. All I'm doing is just tacking it on here to secure it. That's all. And then line up that edge there. Make sure you don't pull. It will get stretched out. And when you're attaching it to the stiffener doesn't have a bias and this doesn't get stretchy, so it would be hard to kind of ease it in there. So just set yourself up without that. You can top stitch this, you can understitch it, you can do whatever you want. I just left it clean. I liked kind of how invisible it looks because I use the same fabric. You could even fussy cut it so where it would be kind of invisible. And you can see like that's how it looks. The hanger just slides up in there like that and through the hole. See that? This is a really old-fashioned hanger. I took all my good ones home because, well, my parents could use one of the organizers I made right now in the closet because they don't have drawers. And I needed some of my hangers back for them too. So I stole all my hangers back. All right, so I'm going to start at the bottom. Now this is the back, this is side B, by the way, where I have the 2 rows of pockets, and it also has this notch that we added. And I'm not going to say the measurement just in case it changes by the time I release the pattern, but I'm pretty sure it's like the 16-inch notch somewhere in there. All it is a notch on where the pocket that goes up at the top goes. That's the lining, the line-up point. So I'm going to put this one on the bottom though. And all I'm going to do is, oh, I'm also going to nip this corner too. You see this corner right here? I'm just going to nip like a 1/4 inch right there along that seam. Just like that. I'm going to do it on this side too. You'll see why in a second. So you're going to line up this edge, this seam, your corner, with this corner here. And I find a good guide to be using is to use this seam allowance. You can line up that seam allowance with the bottom of the organizer like that. That way you know you'll get it right on the seam. If you used a 1/4 inch seam, which you should, it'll all line up that way. And then I'm going to pivot at that nip that I just did, that little 1/4 inch nip, clip, I should say. It releases the tension because now the corner can spread out as it turns the corner. I feel like I'm not explaining this well. Sorry, guys. Like I said, it's only like my 3rd one that I've sewn, or 4th one, so I'm getting the hang of it myself. But sometimes it's good to see someone work through the issues so that it sits in your brain easier. You know, you remember the issues. So now here we are at this point where I clip that, and I just want to make sure that none of my pocket sags below or gets in the way, but I'm just going to top stitch that down right up to that nip there, the little clip. If you don't do it, what's going to happen is it's not going to want to like spread out and then like sit flush. Hi, Christy. Oh, it's your lunchtime in Arizona. Nice. Nice to see you. My stream's been so erratic lately. I'm sorry. All right, so this should go all the way to the end, just perfectly across. I'm going to line up my raw edge of my seam to my raw edge of my organizer. See, it lines up perfectly because I use my 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now, you can use a wider seam allowance, but you'd have to do it on everything. So just so you know that. Since it's not clothing, it doesn't matter. But if you like a 1/2 inch seam allowance, you need to use a 1/2 inch here and a 1/2 inch here. And then you need to use the binding that corresponds with that. All right, so now because I nipped that, let's see, can you see? You probably can't see, but it's spreading apart right there. I'll show you in a second. I'll bring it up to the camera. Now that notch does not go to this pocket, so don't worry. You're not going to go to it. All you're doing is just attaching this pocket, and now we're going to stitch the pocket down right here to create the distinct pockets. And the guide we're going to use, you're going to stitch. You don't have to stitch in the ditch. What I suggest you do, because this pocket is bigger and there's a section of pocket that it's not caught in the seam, is I think you should stitch on this side from the beginning. That way when you get to this point, if you stitched on here, you'd run out of space, right? So you want to keep on here and then just turn under the pocket edge and then top stitch it down like you're doing a patch pocket, that kind of thing. And then I'm going to show you how to make sure that you get it like not wonky like this. So let's see. I'm going to start on the big pocket. I know it looks a little messy. I'm just not going to worry about it, you guys. And it's just because like it's a closet organizer. I'm not selling this pattern and I'm not putting it into production. It works. All of it works there. It'll all be clean and tidy at the bottom. And, you know, when you have baffles and gussets like this, getting that perfectly clean takes a little bit different type of pattern. And I don't want to have to try and explain how to sew that or make it available that way. So, all right. So here's how you're going to line up your pocket to make sure you get a nice straight line. You could chalk it. You could measure across this amount, but you could just use the pocket itself. So you just want to line it up that where it's 1/4 inch away, because this is your finished pocket and that's your seam allowance, right? And then make sure you pull this way, pull your seam like that, push your pocket over here, and see you want this right up to this fold, this right up to this fold here. We're going to stitch on the pocket. And then when I get up here, I'm going to turn that under. Let's get rid of these threads right now. What is that? It's like a fuzzy. This canvas stuff, like, whoa, it grabs every little fuzz. So now we're up here. I'm going to just pull it, keep it as straight as possible, just like that. And I'm going to make sure that my little edge that I'm turning under here doesn't poke out the top. I'm going to back stitch it just like that. That's what my presser foot does. Did you see that little edge it pushed up? It's because I have a slit right there. I don't have the nice like Bernina foot with the front of it closed off. So there you go. That's how I'm going to do that pocket like that. Does that make sense? Is that a little overexposed? Do you want me to add some contrast there? It's a little bright. It's bright. All right, so now we have our other pocket configuration. So now if you were doing all vinyl pockets, you're going to have to accommodate your machine sewing that much vinyl along this edge as well and around the perimeter. So not for the faint at heart, but not impossible. My original closet organizer that gave me this idea was vinyl pockets, and I loved it because you could see inside of it. That's why I ended up making the little pocket clear so that I could see what's in there, because the little things, you know, sometimes they fall in there because you end up putting littler things in a littler pocket. So that's why I did that. Okay, so let's see. I got my Choco liner out. Here it is, right here. I know I put a yellow thing on a white. They didn't have white at the time. Oh, okay, good. Thanks, Brooke. Thanks for telling me that. Okay, so here's my notch right here. And right here. See it? Is that barely, huh? All right, so I'm going to just draw a line from notch to notch. That's on that line right there, so I'm just going to go about right there. I did not cut this off crooked. That's how it's printed. It's printed in this funny kind of way. There we go. You don't have to do this. I didn't do this on a couple of mine. I found it wasn't as hard as I thought. You could even just like fold this right there and crease it, you know, like fold it along your notch like this. You can even iron that and make a nice little line that's very visual. Because you're going to cover it up with your pocket, it won't matter. You can always iron it out afterward. Not with the vinyl, but you know, with the fabric like this you can. So now we're going to do the exact same thing, but we're going to turn under the edge of our pocket. We could sew it like this, right sides together, but I'm just going to do it the way the instructions are going to be written. Lots of ways to do stuff like this. When there's no fit that you're concerned about, you have a lot of options. You can really play and experiment with how things go together, the geometry of it, the squares, the math, all that stuff when it's not something that has to fit you, right? And that's a good point, a good opportunity to say, like, if you want these pockets to have more depth or less depth in this little section here, add or take away as much as you want just to this side, and this side. Just add or subtract as much as you want, because as long as you still sew the corner, you will not affect the dimension. So just make sure that you lay that 3.5 inch corner in the original spot, draw your line, and then add to your two sides and your bottom, and just make it go out or take off. And as long as you still sew that square, this is the finished dimension of your pocket, not this. This just gives you 3-dimensional depth. That's all that is. I know that's a lot of information, but I know some people are going to be like, these pockets are too big or they're too small. It just depends on what you want to put in there. All right, so here's my little notch. I'm going to line up my seam with the notch. I'm going to pull this to the top like this and start like that. I'm really holding this firm because it is vinyl. Now I'm going to push my seam. We're going to clip it first. See, we clipped all these. We clipped all those. Let's clip this one. I'm just clipping like right near that seam just to release the corner so it can turn the corner like that. That's all we're doing. All right, so I'm going to kind of fold under this edge right here. See? This edge doesn't need to fold under. I'm going to push the seam allowance up. It's kind of nice having the vinyl so you can see what I'm doing. And then at that corner, I'm going to pivot. I fell off my piece there. Just going to push that down. Okay. The vinyl is nice so you can see, but it's a little stiff, and I don't want to tear it because I'm really close to the edge. That could happen. So I'm going to turn under the edge, line up that turned under 1/4 inch edge with the chalk line, and I'm going to edge stitch it down. We're basically making, you know, cargo pockets. I don't want the, what can happen when I'm sewing vinyl on top of fabric is it'll pull the fabric together like this underneath, and I don't want that to happen, so I'm kind of paying attention to that. I'm glad I used a chalk line so since this part is a little fiddly and the vinyl, I'm having to consider that. So I'm going to get to this point here. I'm going to also turn under this edge there. And I don't want to pull this too much because, you know, I still need it to line up. So I'm going to get to that corner. You can iron this edge under. That would kind of take out one quotient there. Yeah, get back under there. Just like that. Now the rest will be really easy. So I'm going to turn under this corner here, or this edge here, like that. Because see, what we're doing is top stitching this down, and then this gets lined up with the raw edge of the closet organizer. So that's the back side of this corner here. Yeah, I knew it kind of did pull it. See, so now I'm a little misaligned, so I'm just going to kind of make it work right now. The vinyl definitely fought me a little bit there, but I think I can get it. I want this seam of my corner to be 1/4 inch away from the edge because that's where the seam line is. And I'm going to pivot there. Because now what lines up is the raw edge of the vertical side of this pocket to the closet organizer. Just like that. Because this is going to get bound. Just like that. So now we have our edge stitched patch cargo pockets, I guess. Does that make sense? Let's see, let's poke out our pocket corners here. And now we'll stitch down our vertical pocket. So I can see how much it pulled. It doesn't look like it did probably, but see, like that is lining up. It's a little to the, this is a little to the right of this. Not much. Not enough to bug me. So remember, I'm pushing the seam allowance of this pocket this way because it's longer. Like this pocket length is longer. It didn't have the seam of this little pocket right here. So it's just going to get turned under right there. And we're going to sew it down. We're going to make it straight as possible. I'm kind of like pushing this down, this down that way. I'm going to kind of line up this pocket, make sure. In fact, I think what I'll do this time is mark how much this pocket is, corner to corner, 6.5. So it's 6 3/4 over because I need to add the seam allowance. This is kind of where the pocket should be, right here. Pretty sure. Yeah. And then you could top stitch it down. All right, so let's do that formally. Okay, so the width of this pocket right here, and the pattern will actually have finished dimensions of the pocket, including with the depth and without the depth. And so this is actually the finished width of the pocket. It's 6.5 inches because it's corner to corner, not including the 3-dimensional depth, right? So that's 6.5 inches. And then you're going to measure 6.5 inches over here, plus a 1/4 inch seam allowance right there. I'm just going to make a little vertical line like this as my target. That's all I need. You can use a pen too. And I'm going to get this going, and then I'm going to aim for it. I'm not going to try and pin it down now or line it up. I'm just going to try and get my machine under there, on there, and this under the needle. And then I'm going to line it all up because it's like driving, right? You can kind of go straight when you aim for it like this. And so there's my line. You see that? I'm going to line it up like this. When I get closer and it's in the camera, I'll show you. So there, I'm going to straighten this all out just like that. You made a Kelly anorak, Stephanie. That's awesome. Oh my gosh. Yeah, welt pockets are pretty amazing. There's some on the tamarack jacket. Okay, there's my line. I'm roughly there. You guys aren't going to tell anyone that I was a little bit off because you guys are my friends. There we go. See, that pocket does stick straight out because of the vinyl. Kind of nice. I don't know if it's worth the hassle of sewing vinyl over just sewing these little edge stitches right there. It's up to you. But I kind of am enjoying the fact that I can see inside there. I know that's a huge selling point, right? Every time you can see inside there. And vinyl is so affordable. You can get it at major fabric stores like Joann Fabrics, and I always prefer the matte of the vinyl, like the non-gloss. It doesn't, the gloss sticks to itself, and I don't find it to be as sturdy. And there's different gauges. I always got the heaviest gauge, and I think I can't remember what it was there. Like what I tried to buy, I used to buy 12 gauge, and then the next person called it 8 gauge, and I was like, oh, okay, because so the gauge is not really the weight of it something different, but that's what the fabric store labels it as. So you just kind of go along with their lingo. Like I don't care about if something is precisely named, as long as we all know what we're talking about. That's all that matters. So you can call it whatever you want. So, all right. So let's see. Now we have both sides of our closet organizer. Time to put it all together. And I think I still need to, yeah, I still need to trim the corners off of my stiffener. So I'm going to lay top of my, I could just use the pattern piece, but since this is right here and the fabric is nice and clingy, it'll be helpful. So I've designed this organizer so that it'll work on store-bought stiffener that's 20 inches wide. Oh yeah, so yeah. Welt pockets are the ones that are like a hole you cut into the garment, and then the pocket goes into the garment, like from the outside. You have to actually cut the hole as you're sewing it. So there probably are welt cargo pockets out there, but I can't really picture what that would be like. It would be like a reverse pocket or something. So, but I don't know the Kelly Anorak, so I figured both could be on there. It could have like welt and cargo. All right, so I'm just going to cut this off. You don't need it. Just like that. So yeah, so I designed this pattern so that you can use a store-bought stiffener that is 20 inches wide. The stuff I use is 44 inches wide. If you want to buy some, send me an email. I have 600 yards looking for a home right now. And it's 44 inches wide. It's awesome. In fact, you can actually get the closet organizer in 20 inches of mine because the closet organizer is only 35 inches tall. That's kind of neat. All right, so I think I'm going to tack this on here first, and then I'll put the other side on. I wish you could see the whole thing while I'm doing it. All right, so I'm gonna keep this kind of rolled up like that on top of itself. So I wish you, let me see if I can zoom out my camera. I don't know if I can. I don't think I can zoom it out very far. Let's see. That way maybe you might be able to, oh, I forgot I changed my camera back to left click. Let's see. I don't think I can change it. Oh, I can't change it while I'm streaming, it looks like. Oh well, sorry about that. So I am rolling this up on top of itself like that as I'm sewing it, to kind of keep the bulk from hanging off the machine and pulling against the needle. You definitely don't want that. And you definitely don't really want to pull your fabric because the stiffener can't stretch, so don't stretch the fabric out on top of it. And I'm just going to tack it in the edge there. Just like this. Now, when I'm stitching on something like this where I've already stitched through the vinyl, it kind of helps having that thread there to grab instead of the machine getting hung up on the vinyl. Yeah, this is the Archer I made. Yeah, I love this shirt. I love this fabric. I wear it every week. I'm wearing my ginger jeans right now too. But I've already worn them once this week, so they're pretty relaxed right now. They're already pretty relaxed on me. I am really excited to make more. I was thinking about, I'm trying to think what I want to do next week because it's a holiday week here in the States. And I'm trying to decide, like I planned, of course, on streaming, no, it's S-A-R-E-M-Y. I don't care how you spell my name, though. It doesn't matter. I was supposed to do something new this week. I didn't plan on having to skip last Saturday. Okay, so now this is pushing up against everything over there. I'm going to roll it up going this direction like that. You might have a wall there, and that might help. I don't. I have my computer there and a big old gap. Yay, Christy. Did you guys see in the new Needle Sharp subscription box? For January, it is all about pants, and the ginger jeans are in one of the boxes. The box that I'm getting is, oh shoot, what are they called? They were pants that I hadn't heard of. Brooke, you might want to check it out because I know you're looking for a good pants pattern right now. They also offer, they now offer a curvy box. They had the Upton dress for this coming month, and then they're going to have their pants in it, or from Cashmerette. And then the ginger jeans will be the medium weight box. I have the heavyweight box. I can't remember the name of it. The pattern company is like Morgan something. And, oh, Ash pants, Ash jeans. Sorry, you guys probably know. I saw the yellow denim. I wish that was in my box. I know, that would go really good with my shirt, right? Okay, so I'm just going around. Because I know I use my seam allowance, this should all work, right? I mean, it is nice if you can lay this out and make sure it's all laying nice and flat. I'm kind of just making sure I ease it in there because I did pull this corner, or this length down here a little bit to get it to fit. And I'm just gonna use a little bit of tucks. I just don't care, you guys, because it's an organizer. It's not clothing. And I had to make that side fit because of that canvas fighting me before. Okay, so get rid of these threads. I'm actually gonna peek inside there's no threads because you know how I feel about that. Yeah, I know that yellow. They have blue denim, I think, in the, I want to say the ginger jeans box. All right, I'm going to check this out. Let's see how it's lining up on here. And it's lining up pretty good. See that? That's all okay. Okay, good. This is going to be probably the fussiest thing you've done if you've never sewn with stiffener, because it is a big thing to sew, and the stiffener has a mind of its own a little bit. And a home machine may be a little bit grouchier with you if you're going to do something thick, so just make sure you use the appropriate needle. I would definitely use a 16 when you get down to doing the binding around the stiffener. Because you're going to have your fabric from both sides, your pockets, your stiffener, and your binding. It's not going to be too much, but it is definitely going to be some. This side's giving me a little bit of trouble fitting in here, so I am trying to ease it in. That's what I'm doing. Getting rid of my threads, I'm easing it in. Making sure. I could just let it hang off the edge. It just might look a little crooked then. That's why I don't want to do that. Turn my corner. Okay, there we go. I just need to go across the top here. I'm a little bit off the edge right there. What I get for letting my fabric sit there and relax for a week. It just gets a little bit like, oh, this is nice, let's grow a little bit. The stiffener's like, I'm not budging. I'm not gonna grow. You guys grow all you want, I'm not growing. Okay, so now we have one layer on the stiffener, and look, we can really see our pockets now. It's kind of nice. It looks a little overexposed, but there we go. Yeah, Megan Nielsen, thank you. Oh, is it the, oh, plus an anvil? Ooh, I have all these rivets that I got in some denim kits. Fun. I didn't know she posted the like contents too. That's cool. She showed she actually shared a picture of my Rita shirt dress in one of her posts recently that I sewed. And I sewed it here on the stream. It was really fun. I really love that dress. It's a lot of fabric. It's a lot of dress, but it's so comfortable. I really love it. Okay, so the thing you're going to want to work on, oh yeah, the blue denim I'm pretty sure was in the medium weight. Isn't it in the ginger jeans box, maybe? And then the like mustard denims in the lightweight box, I think. So that's it. We're talking about the Needle Sharp subscription box, which I actually signed up for before I started the stream because I was like, well, I'm going to need some content. I'm going to trim this off. See, it's hanging off the edge of my... I just did the worst job ever trimming that off. Like, ugh. Okay, so the thing you want to think about when you're top stitching this or edge stitching this all the way around, just tacking it, is don't let these pockets hang out. You don't want to get those caught in there. Oh, it's in the curvy box. Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, it looks like it, like I thought the curvy box, the way she lists it, would be just past the heavy since it was added, but it's just before the heavy, so I'm just getting used to that. Okay. So now I'm just going to do the same thing, and then we are 2 steps away from being done. Woohoo! And then I'm going to work on this pattern more today. I have a friend coming in town tomorrow. She'll probably be here watching me stream on Saturday. We're going to see the new Harry Potter movie together. Pretty excited. We planned this all before the fire, so she still wants to come. My family's happy to have her, and it'll be fun. It'll be a nice distraction for all of us. So, and Harry Potter. Yeah, the yellow's in the lightweight. That's what I thought. Okay, let me line this up before I keep doing what I'm doing here. There we go. Okay, now I can fold that on top. Sorry, I keep clacking my presser foot, you guys, because it's my heel. My heel lifts it up. Just making sure. Do I need to ease any of this in here? I might need to ease a little bit of it in. I think my stiffener got cut a little bit shorter because when I sewed my first one, I feel like I cut my stiffener a little sloppy, and it was a little bit big and hanging down, and I was like, oh, don't do that again. And now I'm like, oh gosh, I'm like barely covering this, so. I'm just lining up my corners here, trying to get all this in there, pushing my pockets out of the way on this side, just like that. You can really do a lot to ease stuff in. And like I said, it's a closet organizer. It doesn't have to fit us. Fabrics have been relaxing the last week or so. And the stiffener is less inclined to let me ease it. Your pockets can get hooked on the corner of your table, so be careful. You can rip it. I sew another bag, the project bag, and the handle will get caught on the corner of my table sometimes, and I'll jerk it out of the way by accident, and I'm like, oh, I'm stuck. Okay. Just making sure I'm pushing everything underneath. This is actually really obvious on the bigger pockets like this one, but these little guys, they're a little easier to get caught for some reason, and I think it's just because there's less you don't feel, so you just think, oh, it's not there, but it's the pocket. You're feeling it. Yeah, I think I cut my stiffener a little small. We might see some tucks when I go to bind it all. But you guys are, you know, you're not judging my sewing ability right now, right? Okay, so I'm just lining up my corner there, see how close I am. Finally, we're actually got an easy side. Pivot on that corner. pushing my pockets constantly. That's what my right hand's doing, is pushing the pockets underneath. I can feel my vinyl pocket coming, and sewing the vinyl along with feed dogs isn't a problem for me. It can be for some machines, it's not for mine. It'll go right over it. So sometimes when I need to sew something directly in contact with the vinyl, I'll sew it from the other side so that if the vinyl's only on one side, I'll sew it so that the vinyl's on the underside so that my machine doesn't touch it. My presser foot doesn't touch it. Of course the machine's touching. See, look, did you see that? It doesn't want to grab it. So the feed dogs have trouble grabbing that vinyl sometimes, so it just kind of like spun in its tracks. Kind of like being caught in mud in a car. Now, I forgot now why this was a little easier the first time too, is I used these things. Do you guys have these? So pinning your stiffener and your fabric is a little bit tedious. You can use pins, but you can just use these little Wonder Clip things. Quilters use them, and I'm late to this little Wonder Clip party. These are really cool though. They're really easy to use and they're really secure. This is my little bias edge. It's definitely going to be finicky and push, of course, a little bit of extra fabric there. Now I have a little bit of a tuck happening here. I'm going to smooth it out a little bit with my beginning stitches. Good thing I didn't back stitch so that I can kind of ease it. That's what happens with bias sometimes, is it stretches as you're sewing. And then it makes it hard to ease things in. Because this isn't on the bias, that is. I'm going to try and ease it on that side. It needs to be a good neighbor with this top portion, right? That's better. That's a little easier to deal with. All right, let's check out the other side before we keep going. Make sure we didn't catch anything weird or make any weirdness. Looks good. Okay, now we just need to bind all the way around. I'm gonna be good at binding after this. Yeah, the Wonder Clips are amazing. I always wanted a reason to use them, but I just, you know, didn't have one. All right, what do you guys think? This one or my bow ties? This one's a little yellower than this. This is like a bluer green than this one. This is a little yellower. I love this binding. I didn't get to use it in Chicken Boots, so I'll try and use it. And I used it on the pockets on this side. So that, or I think the white. What do you guys think? The white or the green? Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Is that right? Can I decide? Do I have any other greens? Not really. All right, so how I start my binding when it's something like this, we're just going around the perimeter of something, and where we start is where we're stopping as well, is I just fold under an edge. And I'm going to pick the, let's see, I'm going to pick the vinyl side to start on. That way I'm never going to fight the vinyl, because I will now always have fabric between the machine and the vinyl. Yeah, I know, Christy, exactly. That's why I'm going to make the call, because I used it here. It works on this side a little better. This is just a little bit yellower. It's so hard to get the lighting and the colors right, and as I go, it changes. I'm really glad I took off the auto exposure. Aren't you guys glad? Because that was kind of just doing crazy stuff. Okay, so making sure nothing is peeking out. Fold under my edge. You can start wherever you want. I think I'm going to start like right under this top of the pocket for no reason except I want to. So it doesn't matter where you start. I feel like starting on the long side is going to make it less finicky to sew than starting on the short side, because I can kind of get my binding feet under me as I approach the corner. It's a little further to sew. It also keeps the bulk of this on the table longer before I turn the corner, because when I turn the corner, that's when it starts kind of winging everywhere, right? So I'm going to start on the long edge. And we can kind of see all of our stitching lines that we've already put on here. So if we don't want them to show, just make sure you stitch on the inside of that. You can always trim off any extra, but we do have a 1/4 inch seam allowance we are trying to respect as well. So even when I have a little bit left, I still roll it up on itself like this, see? You definitely want it all to the left of your machine head. You don't want to have to push it through this hole. Don't do that, you guys. Set and sleep. I'm not a maniac. You too can be a maniac then. I love doing set-in sleeves. Once I figured out those tricks, I was like, oh, okay, this is, you know, this is a lot easier now. Wait, my binding's just twisted a little bit. I have so much of it off here. Not imperative, but it'll make it easier. I'm not constantly correcting it. Turn the corner, fold it up on itself. See, now this is a little bit more awkward. And make sure my pockets stay out of the way underneath, because they are a little bit bigger. So I was thinking about doing ginger jeans. Thanks, Christy. Next week, but I'm not sure like if we're gonna do 2 streams next week, because it's a holiday here. Thanksgiving falls on one of my stream days, so I could do Tuesday and Saturday stream, and maybe everybody's gonna be out shopping on Saturday. I don't know. That's okay. I have already sewn ginger jeans, but I have like a few more pairs to sew. So I was thinking about doing another pair. Now that I've like got my pair, sewn the shorts and a pair of pants, I really want to make some fit adjustments. And I wanted to try the low-rise version too. And then this, I guess I could do part 1 on this Saturday and then part 2 on Tuesday. Something like that. But I'm open to whatever you guys want to do. I think that ginger jeans were on the schedule for this week. So I'm only a day off. And the other thing I could do is just like an odds and ends sewing, because I have an Archer sitting here that's been cut out since I made this one. And then I have some gift bags I'm sewing from last year, because I bought all these pre-printed this amazing fabric by Heidi Kenny on Spoonflower, and you sew them up into little gift bags, and they look like little like Santa heads and reindeer heads and things like that. And then I sewed a few, and I was really excited when they got there. And then I set it aside and forgot about it all winter long. And like a week before Christmas was like, oh shoot, I forgot about that. So ginger jeans for newbies. Oh, okay. What would be ideal? Like, would you like, because we could make it like a 3-part stream and just take our time. Is that what you think would work better? Would you like me to simplify some of the steps on there? Like maybe I could try and look at them, and maybe we could make like a simpler version. They're kind of like, everything is kind of essential on there. You could leave off back pockets. I could have new jeans for the holiday. Always a good idea, right? But you wouldn't really want to do that, and I know you can do those. We could leave off the coin pocket. I think I'm even going to try a pull-on version of the ginger jeans. I know that sounds nuts, but yeah, we could do that. Do you want to do like a slow sewing version of the ginger jeans? We could do it this Saturday, and then next Tuesday, and then next Saturday. Oh, Olivia, you can totally do it. Like, they really are so much easier than you think, I promise. I'm not just saying that. I really do promise. Like, I totally know how you feel. I felt the same way for the longest time. And then when I sewed, it was a zipper fly, really, that scared me. And I do have a tutorial on my YouTube page on how to sew a zipper fly. And once you see how like short the steps are, and that they're just like, it's like 7 or 8 steps, and they're just short lengths of straight stitching, you know, it's makes it a little more like, okay, I got this, you know. We could even sew a bunch of zipper flies over and over. Look, here's my beginning spot. All right, now I'm going to trim around the perimeter. I'm going to use my big scissors, even though they're not quite sharp. I think I'm going to take a gander at the other side too before I do that. I like that I did that other side first and this black fabric second, because I feel like some of this stitching might end up showing, and so it'll be nice to have the opportunity to cover it up. I'll be able to see my stitches. Okay, this looks okay. So I'm going to trim it. You always trim on the binding side. Yeah, exactly, Christy. I feel like that would have been some of my feedback for someone like Sprout Patterns, because I love Sprout Patterns. You guys know how I feel about them. I love the idea of it. I thought, well, a long time ago when I used to use a CAD program and made to measure type of software came out and stuff like that for like garment making, I thought, wow, we're so few steps away from, you know, people doing like custom printed patterns on fabric, you know. And then when I saw that, I was like, there it is, awesome, you know. And the Spoon Flower had been out for a while, but I do feel like a lot of their patterns are geared towards beginning sewers. And the amount of money you have to spend on a Sprout pattern is not in a beginner's like scope of feeling comfortable investing in, because then they're a little worried like, well, what if I fail, you know, and I've got $90 in this blouse, you know. So I do understand that feeling. I will say a lot of the people that sell like denim making, like jeans making kits, are giving you enough fabric to make almost 2 pairs of jeans. So you do have that option, and you can do what people call a muslin, you know, just like a you know, like a test version. I know, Stephanie. I actually think I'm gonna try and figure it out, because I do have some pull-on jeans that I wear. I'm not pregnant. And I had this like fear when I first saw them. I was like, see, I almost tripped. I almost cut my pocket there, you guys. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go back to pregnancy pants. I mean, I don't know what it is, like for all of us who've been there, even if it's a good nostalgic thing, none of us want to ever put them back on again. But they were so comfortable, right? And it was this boutique here in town, and she said, oh, have you seen these? And I was like, I don't know about that. And then I tried them, and I was like, oh yeah, this is nice. You know, like, I feel like they're more flattering because all of the zipper fly button, all that's gone. So it's like less bulk right there on your tummy, which a lot of us are self-conscious of. I am, definitely. And the denim is just as stretchy as what my ginger jeans are made out of. My ginger jeans might even be stretchier. I think, honestly, the trick of those, because they're like, it's like a band like this going around the waistband. Instead of like a set in waistband with the zipper fly opening, it's a wide denim band, and you can pull on and pull off the pants. They are tricky to get on and off, and they tell you that. They're like, yeah, they're a little bit like tight to get them, but once they're on, they're on. They don't relax over the day or anything. Yeah, exactly, Christy. Yeah, I bought a few of those. Yes, that's it, Christy. I have those Jags. They're an investment, you know. And mine are starting to show, like, I like my denim to look a little more fresh and dark, and that mine are, and I actually fell at a 4-H event in one of them, so the one on the knees is a little bit like lighter in color. Yes, exactly, Brooke. I know. I have like, I think I can get my ginger jeans on and off because the denim is so stretchy. And I think I've told you, like my mom hated when stretch started being sold and everything, because she felt like it like got rid of that barometer of like how she felt in her clothes, and like she could tell like, oh, you know, like you could easily gain a few pounds without knowing it, you know. And I think like so things have gotten so stretchy that like, and they get saggy over time sometimes if it's not good denim, you know, stuff like that. So, but I do like the comfort of it, obviously. Yeah, exactly, Stephanie. Yeah, they're not for pregnancy, exactly. Yeah, and I have a few different cuts. So, all right, we've trimmed this last up. But I think the trick with sewing the pole on is the fact that you have to be able to put that band on the jeans in a secure way that's not going to pop the stitches when you pull it on and off, and it'll last over time, because it does have to be very close to your hip measurement, a little bit of a negative measurement to your hip, so you have to stretch it to get them on, because if your waist is small, like my hips are full but my waist is kind of narrow, so I do have that trouble. I don't want it to gap up there, you know. So I'm gonna fiddle with it. I'm kind of like, I think I can do it. I mean, it'll take the right denim and all that. All right, so I think I started over here, right here, see? And we can just start in that spot too. Try not to whack the camera. I don't think I've whacked the camera once, you guys. Okay, so here we go. So now we still have some threads here we can get rid of. I probably could trim this a little better just because I was kind of chatting and not really looking the whole time. But we'll see when we get there. All right, so I'm actually going to start below where I started. You're going to start above or below. If you want to do that right now, we can do that right now. So here, I'll start above it. I'm going to fold it under. And I'm not going to start right on there because it's a little tricky to fold. So just make it easy on yourself. You don't have to back stitch. I've wondered how those shorts are, Christy. I've wanted to try it. Maybe that's what I'll start with, is a pair of pull-on ginger shorts. Okay, so I'm not going to backstitch right there. I'm just going to get it going, and now when I've got this all secure, the machine's doing all the work holding it for me. Now I'm going to like fiddle with this. I'm going to fold under each layer like this. Use my awl and hold it down just like that. See, it's all nice and tidy. No need to like make a seam like a quilter does, a nice tidy seam. They wouldn't do this style. It wouldn't be finished looking enough for a quilt. You know, like they can, but they're usually using a nicer technique to finish the edge of their binding. A lot of the things I've figured out I did from looking at like products that I knew had to be production sewn. I needed to find tactics that we could use here. Quilters aren't production sewers. They're doing heirloom style things. So their techniques are different. Oh, that's awesome, Christy. I'm gonna check those out. I wear so many dresses that I haven't really needed many more shorts. We're just finishing this edge. We're just covering up that first stitching. Make the fold go just past it. I know I have that little gap there, but the hanger's going to go there. It's going to gap, push out anyway, so it's okay. I'm sorry I'm not finished with the pattern, you guys. I don't even know if you want to make this thing, but it's like one of those things where you're like, oh, this will be easy. And then I was like, oh, this is like hard to explain though. Yeah, I like this binding choice too. You know, I don't know why, I don't know if this makes sense, but it looks kind of kitchen-y. And I feel like that's kind of a household look. And so it looks, I don't know, the plus signs with the geometric shape, it kind of all works together. I obviously have a thing for green and white. Thanks, Christy. I'm constantly fiddling with this over here because it wants to get hung up on the lip of my table right there. Right there. So that's why. But I can probably pull it down a little lower. That helps. You see better how I'm sewing my binding. So see, here's my original stitch where I attach the binding, right? Take this fold just past. Ah! I got it out when I pulled it. Wait. Let's pull this out right here. Get rid of I always get rid of my threads so I don't immortalize them with my new stitching. Okay, so here. Now I need to backtack right there. Yeah, so this fold goes past the first stitch and then just stitch to the right of the first stitch, and then all of your stitching will land on the binding. And it'll look almost the same on both sides. That's my trick. Quilters also, a lot of times, they hand finish their binding. Wasn't it you that said that you did that, Stephanie? I have to scroll up. I can't remember who said that, but at the beginning. And see, now the top is like pushing up against the lamp up there. I have my lamp on my machine is like pushed down behind it. Okay, I'm just like folding the corner like this, pulling it really hard, and then I'm gonna like pre-fold it so that it wants to do that a little bit when I get there. I keep thinking those spokes are threads on that wheel. And I'm trying to think of all the things my body is doing right now. My whole shoulder right here on this side is actually pushing on this right here, trying to keep it as straight as possible in the machine like this. Like, I know it looks like it's at an angle because of where the camera is, but if I pulled this camera like where I'm looking right here, see right there, it still can't tell how straight it is to me. But that's what I'm trying to do, is make sure that I have that binding as straight as possible. I really messed that up, didn't I? Let's see. So I'm trying to make sure that none of this is pulling on the needle, hanging off the machine, or fighting me. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that works, Stephanie. I mean, and you know, sometimes it's nice to have a hand project that you can take with you somewhere, you know? All right, so got to my corner here. Okay, I feel it pulling, it's falling off the back. So I'm gonna fold it onto itself here. And I'm going to fold this up like this. Just trying to get rid of all of that pulling on my machine so that the machine's not trying to write it or fix it. I'm supposed to be doing that over here. I just keep all of this pressure and all this pulling up here on the table so that it doesn't want to do that. It doesn't want to fight me. Pull my corner. Get it ready. And, you know, if you get tired, like if your arm gets tired, you know, like kind of all this tension, you know, like holding all this over here, take a break. I've definitely had some fatigue with this hand pushing right here through my machine, especially on the binding machine, which I don't have to use very much. But some of our fabrics are a little bit trickier to get through there. Pulling my pockets still out of the way. You can feel it pulling over there, so I'm just kind of holding it. You can even clip it together. I've done that too. Did you hear that heavy sound that I just got? It's because it hit the canvas of that little tiny leaf pocket. Canvas is really heavy duty. Yeah, that's nice, Stephanie. Exactly. It's nice to, like, you know, like if you only have a limited amount of time in your sewing room, it's nice if you can just do all the things you need to do in there, and then like anything else, like put that aside that you can do somewhere else. That way you get as much time doing the things you can't do in your living room or in the car, you know. I'm almost done, you guys. It's looking good. I see threads. I'm going to take out my threads right now. Got some yellow chalk there. My stitching is a little right there, like you can see it. I am not going to worry about that. It's secure. It's all the edges are clean under there. That's what matters in this. You just wouldn't want a hole, you know. We're almost done. We've got like 12 inches left. All right, so I will try and cut out a pair of ginger jeans. I'm also going to start working on a fit chart where it's like, so I feel like we kind of know how we want our clothes to fit more than we know what that number is, you know. Okay, there's my beginning back stitch. We're done. We're done with another closet organizer. Here we go. Yay. Let's see, can I make this bigger? Let's see. No. I think I can make this bigger like this. See? Doo-doo-doo. There we go. I still have the autofocus on this camera. This was, remember my camera that was doing all those crazy things a long time ago? All right, there we go. If anyone's a video expert, please contact me. I need help. All right, you guys, there's my closet organizer. What time is it? Oh, it's only noon. Great. I'm gonna just sew a couple more sewing notions cases because I cut them out. And thanks, Christy. I know, I'm glad that's done. Sorry it took so long. We'll just end on some nice little easy to sew items. Because it's a free downloadable pattern right now, so I just want you guys to take advantage if you can or you're interested. I rarely tape my binding. You know it's getting... Yeah, I know that leaf print is really cool. That was that was my fabric in my kitchen in my old house. I loved it. I think I got it at IKEA. Of course, right? Hard to buy anything from there, but I feel like that came from there. And I wasn't even looking for anything there. We were there for something else, you know? And I saw those, and of course, I obviously have something for green and white fabrics. All right, I'm just gonna sew it like I would if you weren't even here. You know how to sew these now. Let's see. Here, I'll use this zipper. It's too long, but maybe I'll show you a few things with using these store-bought zippers. So I find using store-bought zippers with the like loose tape up there a little bit trickier. I don't make my bias anymore. We send it out. But you can buy bias from us. I have tons of it on the Chicken Boots site. I have like thousands of rolls like hanging on the walls in front of me, you guys. Yeah, so we send out yardage of fabric, or I send out yardage of fabric, and then I tell them that I want bias cut and the width I want it, and they send it back on these beautiful rolls. So that's how it works. We were just spending way too much cutting it, and I keep meaning to do a video on that too, on how to cut binding. So you have two options. I'm going to have to move the zipper out of the way. What I don't like about having the open tape is that I really like it when the teeth are shut right there, but it's just my like personal preference, you know. And I'm just going to have to deal with the fact that it won't be there. I think I might even go past, but let's pretend like you only have a zipper that is this length only. I don't think you can get 9 3/4 inch zippers. That's what this takes. But you can get probably a 9-inch zipper, and you might just have a little bit of open tape like that. So let's line up this. You can't sew through that metal stop right there. You can sew through here. You can sew through here. You cannot sew through the metal. So you really need to just pay attention to where you place that metal stop there. So I'm going to line it up with the edge of my vinyl and see how I don't have as much tape. See, when I line it up, that's how much different it is right there. It's a very lightweight too. So now I'm going to cut it off. I'm going to sew across the bottom. At least you have the stop up there. And I'm going to leave this right now for the moment. Okay, I'm going to put it on this one. I'm going to put the brown... Wait, is this what I want to do? Do I want this? That can work, right? I feel like the zipper would look better with this. So I'll just put that on the back. Not my favorite configuration. But I think that this will look better. Maybe I could put it on this. I think either way I'm in the same boat, so I'm going to do this. Why did I pick this case to do this zipper on? Okay, here we go. So that's right. Remember, my zipper is narrower. So, but the thing is, remember I had to raise up the zipper a little bit to connect with my binding. So I am only shy by a tiny bit. But you want to line everything up at the bottom of the case. And then we'll deal with anything that's out of alignment at the top in a minute. And make sure you do the same thing on this side. You're going to pull this taut, but line it all up at the bottom there. And now I'm going to pull my slider out of the way. I'm going to pinch the tape together as close as possible, like this. I'm going to tack it like that. Okay. I have this little bit of bubble here, and I'll show you my little trick. See, because I can see I have this bubble right here. See that? I'm going to pull it, and I'm going to force it into my seam allowance. Like that. Don't tell anybody. All right, so now we have this little extra. I'm going to bind the perimeter, and then I'm going to deal with that because this will all be nice and tight. I'm going to get rid of my slider out of the way. I'm making note where this end is. I'm actually going to trim this now so that I don't forget, because sometimes you forget that when you're looking at the case here and you flip it over, you're not this edge right here is not this edge, it's this edge, right? So you just don't want to fool yourself. Don't want to hit that metal. It's okay if you break a needle. Like, people think it's the end of the world if you break a needle. That's not the problem. It's the danger to you when you break your needle and your machine. It can throw your machine out of alignment, out of timing. It can wear down different parts underneath your machine. My most common thing that I get is if I say I'm sewing a particular item and it keeps breaking needles. This is too much. I will end up getting a barb on my throat plate, this thing right here. And you should see the collection of throat plates I have. I get a barb on there, and you don't realize like how all the space in there is all accounted for, and then your thread will just start breaking for no reason. So if your thread is breaking a lot, and it's not like the fact that you need a new needle, and your tension is fine, the needle size is fine for what you're sewing, it can be that there's a barb underneath that's you know, grabbing your thread. Your thread's pretty small, you know, so that is one of the things that I'll get if I break too many needles, is I'll get a barb on my throat plate, and I have a lot of throat plates to show for it. And I have a file. I literally have a file in my drawer where I file those things off. I have had to hammer my my throat plate back in alignment, because what happens is the really thin spaces between where the feed dogs come up, they'll start dipping down, and I'll flip it over and hammer it back. That's not a good scenario. Like, I shouldn't let it get to that point. But sometimes, you know, the mechanic can't come for like 3 weeks, maybe a month, because he could be in Oregon at the Shakespeare Festival doing all of their machines, you know, because he goes that far away. So, all right. I like this. I kind of like this binding with this fabric. This is kind of a kooky case for me, but yeah, it's okay. Dang, there's a thread in there. Now I have to fish it out. I remember when I was in high school learning to sew and people would break a needle and they would hide it from the teacher. They thought they'd get in trouble. And she wasn't the nicest teacher, but she was really good at saying, you know, no, that's okay. That happens. And you should tell me that that has happened so I can get you a new needle, because you can't sew on a broken needle. And you definitely don't want a bent one. So, all right, so let's zip it up. I'm just going to trim off this little bit of an edge there. So much easier to trim off than the curved bottom. You could even do it with a rotary knife. There we go. I feel like you're seeing like all my weird stashed fabrics. I'm going to have to start collecting more. I'm starting to go through a lot of my little things. Oh yeah, so I was talking about like a fit thing. I was thinking that it would be helpful to have a guide where, like, say you know your finished measurements, right? And you know how you like things to fit. Some people like things like just to skim the body. Some people like them really baggy and loose. I think it's really helpful to know, like, when you're reading finished measurements on a garment, if you can compare that to your measurements and say, well, is that too big or too little? Like, is that going to have enough of ease or too much ease, right? So if you saw something and you say, oh, my bust is a 42, and the garment says it measures 44 inches, and it's a woven, right? It's like a shirt like this. That's probably not enough ease for a shirt like this, because look, you know, I can pinch, you know, more than 4 inches on either side, the front and the back. That's probably 8 inches of ease right there. So that obviously you'd probably want to go a size up if you wanted something kind of loose, right? Here we go. Look at this old style zipper pull, dang. So I was thinking that that might be kind of a nice thing to have, where you can kind of have a guide and you can kind of start measuring some of your own garments at home and say, oh wow, this one has 6 inches of ease. If I measure straight across the bust, that has 6 inches more than my bust. Or, you know, looking at your knits and you're like, wow, this one's 2 inches under what my bust is, so that's about how much I like. But knits are different because every knit stretches differently, so you have to take that into consideration. Oh, I thought I saw my vinyl there. Do I have a vinyl? Oh yeah. I love this little rake print. It's so cute. It's kind of an older fabric. Isn't it cute? Things are just a little higgledy-piggledy around here, so I'm hoping I can act on all these things I'm thinking about. Oh, good, Christy. Yeah, that's good to know. Like, I feel like that could be... and I can qualify it with things like, you know, maybe even make a spot where you can fill in your own stuff and customize it for you. And then you can just look at that, you know. Because I used to do that for my knitting. Because I was mostly a sweater knitter. I would... I learned like what I liked as a side seam length, what I liked from my shoulder to my hem, what I liked around the bust. Or I would at least write down like, okay, these two sweaters measure this. And that way I knew like, okay, if I went any bigger, it would be looser. If I went any smaller, it'd be tighter. And I think like not having to get out the measuring tape every single darn time you're sewing something and figure it all out every single time, I think that that is helpful, you know. That way when you're just sitting there, you know, doing something and no one's available to measure you or whatever, you can just move forward because you already have all that down. I'm going to do a cream zipper on this. I don't use enough cream zipper. It's kind of new here. see. Sorry, I went into like try hard mode, didn't I? I started thinking. Oh, good, Brooke. Yeah, I think it's great. Like we can make it so that you could put in your measurements, and then we could start doing them for all kinds of garments, right? Like what inseam length you like, or rise. You know, pants are obviously a hot button topic for all of us. I think, you know, I was just going to put these notions cases that I made here in the throwback fabric sale section of the website. But you know what? I'm going to bring them to my local yarn store because she's collecting things for the fire survivors. And like people lost all their crafting supplies, and I won't go into a whole lot of that unless you guys want to know more about what's going on around here. But she's collecting stuff and helping out all of our long-term customers and short-term customers and anybody new to the area, anyone who wants to keep their hands busy right now, especially if they're in a shelter and, you know, there's a lot of downtime right now. I'm going to take them there because I brought a bunch of stuff over there the other day, all my prototypes, things I hoped no one would ever see. Yeah, I did search, I searched the rise, the front and back rise, the inseams, and the outer seam, and the yoke seam. I can actually remember what I searched on that, Christy. You don't need to search a whole lot on there. You can do, like denim was originally sewn way before sergers existed. So you can actually sew your denim in the classic style using flat felled seams. So you could get away with sewing jeans without having a serger. I would definitely make sure you know that your pattern's going to fit you before you use flat felled seams because they're quite permanent. So yeah. This binding, it's kind of crazy, but I like it. You know, I really like it when like stripes are on the edges of things. It's so nice. Oh, you know what, you guys? I got a notification from YouTube saying, congratulations, you got 500 new, or more than 500 subscribers now. So thanks, you guys. That's pretty exciting. And it was exciting to see that email. I got it amidst all the turmoil happening over the weekend, and it just totally slipped my mind to share that, but it's pretty cool. And I feel really bad that a lot of the Love to Sew new viewers came by, and I wasn't here on Saturday. So I welcome to those folks, and we are definitely going to be getting back into a groove. The holidays are probably going to disrupt some of that, but I'm a pretty consistent person otherwise, and hopefully we'll start uploading more videos, not just live streams, but shorter videos, because the live streams I know aren't ideal to watch over again when they're like 2 and 3 hours long. It's really the time I really like spending time with you guys. All right. This actually turned out really cute. I really like the way this looks with the trees. I don't know, does it look like that in the picture? It looks a little, color's a little different, but am I really, Brooke? That's awesome. So exciting. I only had, let's see, 900,300 to go before I can put it into like a sponsorship mode. I have to have 100,000 subscribers. Probably not gonna happen. Okay. What, didn't I make another one? Wait, where is it? Oh yeah. These are cute. about this binding on here anymore. And then the others I made the other day are already in the pile for heartstrings yarn out there. So I love the colors of this fabric. $5.97. Woohoo! That's awesome, you guys. Maybe we could do something celebratory when we hit a milestone or something, you know? That would be kind of fun. That's so weird to see a colored zipper on here. All right, any questions? All right, guys, it's super awesome to see you have a bit of normalcy, sew something together. Sewing is always awesome for all of us, right? So let's see. I'm going to think about doing the ginger jeans starting Saturday, do the slow sew thing. That would be fun. And I have, I think, denim for 3 pairs, but I think I'm going to steal denim for 1 to make a jean jacket just for myself. I don't know if I'll do that on stream because it'll probably be my pattern, and I know if you can't sew it, I don't know if you're interested in that. So, yeah, wish me some normalcy time here and so I can get some stuff done for you guys, and have a wonderful rest of your week. Hopefully I'll see you Saturday, 11 a.m. My friend Kirby will be here. And yeah, Christy, you too. And she'll probably be sitting here knitting on the sidelines watching me, making me blush, you know, stuff like that. Which is not hard to do, right? So, all right, guys, take care. Find me on Instagram at SewSewLive. Yes, thanks, Brooke. Yeah, no, we're totally safe, you guys. Yeah, it's not good here, but we are safe where we are at in Chico. Everyone's evacuated here, so we're all safe here. So, and find me on Instagram for up to the minute, like schedule changes or anything like that. Follow the newsletter, get on that, and let me know any requests. Send me direct messages on Instagram if you want, or email me. That's fine too. So take care, hug your loved ones, and I will see you on Saturday, 11 a.m. Pacific. Bye.